Ah, what's up, world? Uko here from Better Therapy. Now, have you seen this show, Severance? I believe it's on Apple TV. It reminds me a lot of Office Space because it's about these people that are working at a job and they don't really like their job. Office Space was a comedy. It was made in the early 2000s, late 90s, and it was just about a bunch of guys who just didn't like their job, right? And they kind of rebel against it in some way. Severance is very similar, but it's way, way, way heavier on the dark side. The world or some company develops technology that splits the mind so that part of your mind is always at like with your family, living your normal life, like just enjoying life. And the other part of your mind is always at work. So when you go to the elevator to leave work, your mind kind of like flips and you're just like back coming home, right? So that means there's a part of your mind or these people's minds that are at work all the time. They never sleep. They feel refreshed because they're outy side sleep, but they never sleep. And they're always doing these like really mundane tasks at work, right? And the side of their mind that's always at work gets really obsessive about the side of their mind that isn't at work because they don't know anything about their outside self. They don't know if they have kids outside of work. They don't know if they're rich outside of work. They don't know if they have like any family members outside of work. They don't know anything about their outie self. They just know work. So they start to feel the effects of this, and some of them start to go completely crazy. And the reason why I think that this show is good for this channel is because work-life balance has become such a buzzword lately. I got into this show because I became very obsessed with why each one of the characters would decide to split themselves so that they never had to go to work. It's a really good metaphor because each one of these characters are missing their lives and because they're just at work all the time. And it makes me think like, well, what are the things that I've missed because of work? I remember I was in the military. I'd just taken over a platoon, and the guy that I was taking the platoon over from, we were in Kuwait, he had been in the army much longer than me. He was like prior enlisted, and he commissioned and became an officer. He had a platoon. He was an older guy. He'd been in for like 12 years, and he had just had a new baby and an older son that was like 8 years old or something like that. And he was like, yeah, I've missed every single birthday. That was a big reason why I was like, I don't think I want to do the military forever because that's like a regular thing in the military. Now, I'm not saying you're doing mundane work in the military, but it's something that I think exists everywhere. And another interesting part about the work-life balance thing is the addition of cell phones. Because since cell phones have come around, even when I was in the military, it was like you were on the clock 24/7. I work in social work and the individual therapy side and also the casework side. And just take the casework side, for example, you're helping these families all over the state and they can call you at any time. So it kind of brings you back into work all the time. So you always have that like connection with work, no matter what type of, job that you're doing. I think the show is really timely because the concept of work-life balance is becoming much more complicated. And then you have work from home. I think this is a big reason why so many people just want to go and do something for themselves, like be entrepreneurs, even if it means making more money or being stressed out in different ways. I think one thing people are going to have to really be able to embrace is the financial stress of not having a consistent income if they do kind of become a solopreneur. But the crazy thing about entrepreneurship is that it is kind of working around the clock. You're just not doing it for somebody else.